What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And AEW Revolution just went down and we got some explosions, definitely not all of them, and you guys know what we are here for, to talk all about it. So let's not waste any time. If you go on to enjoy this video, maybe drop a like on it and maybe hit those notifications so you don't miss any of the pro wrestling coverage that we do over here. Now, that main event match, we're definitely gonna talk about it and the big explosion botch that we got to see, and also what Jon Moxley have to say about it as he got on the microphone after the match was over. But first off, I want to talk about the whole show in general, and of course a recap of everything that went down. Overall, I think this was a solid show. AEW obviously delivers when it comes to giving us good wrestling, and I think it was an awesome pay-per-view if we just kind of forget about the ending of it for a bit. I am obviously hella excited that Christian Cage is the Hall of Fame worthy surprise signing with AEW. He came out, he didn't say much, he just had the contract on his hand, got in the middle of the ring, signed the contract, and walked back out. It was awesome to see him come out with a remix version of his TNA theme song, which was awesome, by the way. I will be remiss though if I don't mention that I am not too excited of AEW mentioning announcement like this and surprises. Again, yes, I'm excited to see Christian Cage on AEW, but they overhyped it, and it's not that Christian doesn't deserve this hype, it's more that AEW should have simply not indicated that there was going to be a surprise. They should have just left it a full surprise. I feel like I would have been even more excited if they just didn't say anything. They built everything up to the point where it didn't even matter who was gonna come out. People were going to complain. It could have been CM Punk, it could have been John Cena, and people would have complained anyways. So there is that. Next time that they're gonna have a surprise, it would just be awesome to see it happen like when they did Jon Moxley, where, you know, maybe we were expecting a surprise but they didn't really announce it and overhyped it like they did. It just ended up happening out of nowhere and it was more of a shocker. Today I saw Christian and I was excited, but I certainly wasn't shocked falling out of my seat for it. And trust me, I am a big Christian fan, but with all of the rumors going around, it's almost like I was just expecting for him to come out. Let me know you guys thought down in the comments below about this whole surprise situation. And by the way, guys, if I sound like my voice is gone, it's because it is gone, of course, because we did do a watch along for the show. No surprise there. I was definitely screaming for a lot of the spots that we got to see. Now let's go ahead and recap the rest of the show and build up towards that Jon Moxley reaction to the botch ending. In the buy-in, we had Riho and Thunder Rosa getting defeated by Britt Baker and the surprise special appearance of Maki Ito. So already in the buy-in, AEW was dropping some surprises for us. The first match to start off the main card was the AEW Tag Team Championship match, the Young Bucks taking on MJF and Chris Jericho. And honestly, I was expecting some dissension between MJF and Chris Jericho, but they worked together, although in the end it didn't really matter. We had a double super kick going on Chris Jericho from the Young Bucks. Then the Young Bucks ended up hitting the Meltzer driver for the victory, retaining their title. MJF didn't look too happy, even in a segment that they did in the backstage. Chris Jericho and him indicate that the inner circle now needs some change, and MJF agrees, and I feel like he is gonna ask to be the leader or demand it, especially after tonight when Chris Jericho was the one that lost the match for them. So in the end, just as expected, all of this is leading to a breakup. Up next, we get the Casino Tag Team Battle Royal match. There was a lot of superstars on this one, a total of 15 teams, and it works just similar to a Royal Rumble. In the end, we had a Pac and Ray Phoenix double teaming going against a Jungle Boy, who was the last other team in the ring. Well, he was representing his team by himself as he was the last one of them. Jungle Boys puts a bit of an upset and actually send Pac over the top rope. So it comes down to him and Ray Phoenix. They go back and forth for a bit. Jungle Boy with a super kick and a clothesline. Then Jungle Boy try to finish it off with a Poison Rana. Phoenix almost gets sent to the outside but recovers, hits a super kick and the elimination. So Phoenix wins it for him and Pac. We go to the AEW Women's Championship match. Hikaru Shida defeating Ryo Mizunami. Good match between both of them. Towards the end, we get Shida with an enziguri for a 2 count. Shida then flattens Rio and gets the running knee for the 2 count. She then finished it off with her knee strike for the victory. Shida was kind of giving some heel vibes from this match, kind of having an evil laugh even after delivering an insane driver on the outside. So that was interesting to see, and maybe it's teasing towards a heel turn for her. But that didn't happen tonight. After the win though, Shida got attacked by Nyla Rose, which led to Dr. Britt Baker and her team coming out, followed by Thunder Rosa, who is trying to make the save for Shida and Rio. We get Miro and Kip Sabian versus Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. We finally got the Miro that I was waiting for, the one with rage. He even attacked Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor on the backstage before the match. In the end, Miro and Kip Sabian picks up the victory, even though Miro did bump into Penelope, so maybe that's gonna lead to a breakup as well. We get Hangman Adam Page defeating Matt Hardy, and in the end, Page ends up celebrating with the Dark Order. Face of the Revolution ladder match. The big surprise on this one was Ethan Page, as he is now All Elite. And of course, AEW mocked Vince McMahon with this one in a big way. The way to win this ladder match is by retrieving the brass ring, which looked like a big donut, from all the way on top. It all came down to Cody Rhodes and Scorpio Sky battling it out on the ladder, trying to grab the ring. Scorpio Sky knocked off Cody Rhodes. He then goes on to get that championship opportunity, the brass ring. We get Christian Cage getting introduced, as we discussed before, as the surprise of the night. We get a street fight, Sting and Darby Allin versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. This was a cinematic match and an awesome one for sure. It all took place in an abandoned warehouse, and I mean, obviously there were some crazy spots on it, so you gotta watch it because it was awesome. They had some crazy camera angles and camera movement, so I love what AEW ended up doing. Towards the end, we basically had a Darby Allin delivering a massive elbow drop to Brian Cage, who was by a platform that ultimately literally ended up falling down. We don't know how many floors there were down there, but it was crazy. It then all led to Sting and Stark battling it out inside the ring of the warehouse, and Sting getting the victory with the Scorpion drop. And then up next, we got the exploding barbed wire match for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Not counting the end, I think this match was amazing. I appreciate that AEW gave it to us over here in the United States. It is something that a lot of us been wanting to see. There was a lot of barbed wires. There was a good amount of explosion too, but I do got some complaints on it. So to start off, the initial explosion, they weren't really synced in as they should. We had Kenny Omega tossing Jon Moxley towards an exploding side, and yes, it exploded, but one time it exploded a little bit too early, the other one exploded a little bit too late, and then after the 5th or 6th time, they kind of got the rhythm of it, so they started doing it correctly. And then they had some really cool camera angle that made it look legit. And obviously, I'm not complaining that AEW made this as safe as possible. You could kind of see that the explosion weren't really happening where they were supposed to be happening. There were a second set of wires, but again, even me pointing out those flaws, I think it was awesome. I think by the second time that they come and do this, it's gonna be insane. We got a big spot with Jon Moxley doing a DDT from the apron all the way to 2 tables that were set up on the outside, of course covering barbed wire, and also had an explosion to it. That led to Kenny Omega dripping, which Jon Moxley, by the way, was dripping 5 minutes into the match. So it was a bit crazy already. Unfortunately, one of the things that ended up destroying this pay-per-view a bit for me was all of the interferences that we got. It felt like we got interferences on every single matches, and then I thought like, okay, maybe it's not gonna happen in the main event, but it actually did. Of course, the Good Brothers showed up and helped out Kenny Omega get the victory. It makes sense, but again, after so many interferences on literally almost every single match, it got annoying that they did it on the main event as well. So the match ends before the 30 minutes, so that means that the explosion of the ring is not gonna happen. But the commentary team is hyping up the fact that the clock is still ticking, even though we never saw a clock until the last minute or so. So all the way up to that last minute, Jon Moxley was getting attacked by the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega. Now the countdown hits, so they run away and leave Jon Moxley right in the middle of the ring. Out of nowhere comes Eddie Kingston attacking Kenny Omega and then heading into the ring. He doesn't know what to do. He's asking for some help. So this was awesome. Like again, if everything would have gone according to plan, it would have been freaking awesome. It wouldn't make sense because we know the history of these two guys. Their friendship literally goes almost 20 years, and it makes sense for him to be the one to come out and help him out, even after their feud. 10 seconds left and Kingston doesn't know what to do, so he gets on top of Jon Moxley to cover him. The countdown goes to 0, we get some sparks coming out of the ring post, we get some smoke, and we get some silly small explosion. Something that you could barely see, and you still seeing the whole ring intact, almost like if nothing happened, like if it was just a minor explosion. It was just a small pyro. I'm assuming that they had a whole set of pyro that was supposed to go off, and ultimately the ring was supposed to collapse maybe, but obviously it didn't. Everything failed, and like the professional worker that Eddie Kingston is, he was selling the whole thing. He basically fainted, which wouldn't make sense again if the explosion would have actually happened and the show would have ended. It also didn't really help out that the commentary team was selling it like if the ring actually exploded when it didn't. It was awkward. It was almost like they were actually seeing something else that we were not seeing, because nothing was happening. So now I don't know what's worse, a WWE Hell in a Cell match ending in a DQ, or this really awesome and crazy match having the biggest ending botch ever. Now after the show went off the air, Jon Moxley got on the microphone, still looking exhausted, indicating the following: Kenny Omega may be a tough son of a you-know-what, but he can't build an exploding ring worth a shot. End quote. So respect to Jon Moxley for getting on the microphone and addressing this whole botch. Let me know you guys' thoughts down in the comments below. It's pro wrestling and obviously mistakes happen like this. And as I mentioned before, I think the second time that AEW ends up giving us this match, they definitely gonna be more experienced, and I'm sure they will give us an ending way better. If you guys enjoyed or found it informative, don't forget to hit an elbow drop on the like button, and I'll catch you on the next one. So stay savage.